Hey guys, Josh from CrossFit Metro-East again. Hey, we're down low today because today we're going to do pretty much three things that are basically from the floor for the most part. And today what we're talking about is more about the overhead squat or just overhead position in general. We get a lot of folks that get into that snatch position, they get overhead and they can't quite get into that right position to where that shoulder sits back and they can just rest it in a nice comfortable position to get down in an overhead squat, even just going overhead period just from a press position as well. So we talk to a lot of our folks, one of our cues is like punch out, and some folks just can't get there, okay? So today we're going to talk about a few things that you can do for yourself. We're going to do a little foam rolling. We've got the barbell here to work on a little bit of rolling on that pec, and then we're going to show you kind of what K-Star, what we talk about is just this first rib mobilization essentially. So we're going to show you three things. Two of them are going to be down kind of on the ground here, and then we'll move you back to the rig and show you how we're going to do that as well. So Dr. Jordan, you want to kind of just maybe explain that whole idea of the overhead position real quick and where that best possible position is to be for someone, and then how we're going to get there with the movements?
Sure thing. So with any movement, with any limb movement, think of it as a game of tug of war. You know, one set of muscles is pulling against the other one to control where the arm goes. So when Josh is saying punch it out and some people are having to throw their head forward to get there, they're probably lacking a lot of mobility in the pecs. A lot of newcomers I see into CrossFit have that issue because they've mostly lived in the gym doing a lot of bench press and shoulder press and things like that. So they're using a lot of the front muscles, not enough of the back muscles to keep the posture right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how to kind of get this pec a little bit stretched out, and we're going to do it in ranges of motion so that you're not getting only one stretch, you're getting a stretch in all ranges of motion. And another one we're going to show is the lat stretch, because as this lat goes across the back, it ties in right here in the arm. So its attachment is on the humerus. And to get that arm in full extension overhead, you're going to have plenty of length for that to allow to open up. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the first rib. This is one that a lot of people that aren't in the healthcare field really overlook because they don't understand its importance and its role in overhead positioning. This first rib basically is a little C. So they sit like this right here. And all they do is they rock up and down. So when you're lifting this arm up, you want this rib to tuck down to make room for all of this bony structure to move up and over. So if you have that rib stuck in the upward position, you're going to bang into it every single time and not be able to get that true overhead position.
And so what would be indicators of that first rib? Maybe what musculature is causing that first rib to maybe get stuck up?
A lot of the scalenes. So if any of you out there sit at a desk all day, okay, you're going to have that head forward position, which is going to shorten down both sides of the front of the neck. Whenever those get short and tight, that first rib is not going to function correctly and you're not going to have good overhead positioning. Okay. Plus, you might start to feel some nervy pains shooting in and down the arm, maybe some numbness, tingling going on, just because of the way the nerves come out through those muscles of the scalene.
Yeah, I get a lot of that, especially, and it's all scalene more than anything else. And if you guys haven't met Mary, our massage therapist now, she's doing a ton of work on those scalenes. Mm-hmm. But like you said, if that first rib's stuck up, that's a lot of my discomfort I get, and then down to the front side of the shoulder a little bit. So sometimes, guys, it's not always directly shoulder issues that are causing the discomfort down the arm. And sometimes, like we talked about with the ankle earlier in some of these series, is sometimes we got to look up and sometimes we got to look down. But definitely, so if you've got some other things going on, and like Dr. J said, that office worker, that desk worker that's sitting here all day long, not only are we going to have that tight pec, not only just in general, so we're going to have something for that, but then also those scalenes, those traps, all those muscles there are going to initially kind of just pull that rib up and out of position. So, okay, so let's get to it. Show me a couple of things here. I guess first let's go with the pec then.
So barbell, whatever size you want. If you want, if you're very, very tender right there in that shoulder, use the trainer bar, use the ladies bar, use the men's bar. It does not matter. It's whatever weight you can tolerate the most. And Josh taught me this one, to put the put the collar on it so you can control where you want to position it. You don't have to grab onto the sleeve of it or anything. This helps out a lot. Now, the number one thing I want you to pay attention not to do is whenever this is on you, I don't want it right on the tip of that shoulder. You can all put your hand up there and feel around and find that little ditch in there. That's a really point tender place. That is a bursa. That is a sac of protected gel that's going to protect the shoulder. You do not want to inflame that. So stay off of the shoulder bone. Move right down to right where you would put a shotgun. If any of you are hunters out there, I am not personally, but I was told that. All right, so to get into this thing, just sit right in that nice little nook there. When you get it there, and I'm off the shoulder. That point I was talking about is right there. So once you get it here, hold it nice and stable, and then just start working some external and internal range of motion. Now, if you notice on me, when I go to internal range of motion, my shoulder's popping up. That is a sign of being too tight in the front pec area, the front shoulder area. So that's the most painful range to me. So if that's all the internal rotation I get, that's all I get. I'm not going to force it all the way down.
So you're not going to. So if the shoulder starts to come off at all, that's the end range. Let's bring it back up.
If you keep pushing that shoulder up and forward, you're reinforcing a poor movement pattern. And we never want to reinforce poor movement patterns. We're all about correct technique, correct posture, correct movement patterns.
Perfect.
So just lay into this for a little bit. Always, always test and retest. See where your range and mobility is at first. Try something like this for a little bit. Recheck it. Go in the bathroom. Look at a mirror. Josh has a mirror right around the corner. Always look at your before and after shots. That way you know if you're making change or not. And
now most of our mobility things are given like a 2-minute rule on that. Is that a 2-minute drill?
2-minute rule,
is that
if you can
minutes?
last 2 minutes.
Okay.
It depends on how tender you are.
Okay. All right. Next one here.
Next one, we're just going to give some love to the lat. You can even start around the back part, because what a lot of people don't realize is the lat ties all the way into the very low back. So if you can get on that a little bit, you're stretching mostly the fascia around there. Then just throw that arm up, nice and relaxed. You can bridge up if you want to add a little extra pressure, or you can just hang out down low, whatever you can tolerate. Find those lumps, and then go a little bit of a side-to-side roll over. What this is doing is it's dematting those muscle fibers that get stuck together. So again, roll to your comfort level on that one. And the last one is going to be this first rib mobility. And you may have a little bit of trouble viewing this one. Well, so,
I guess explain our setup first.
Tennis ball cut, put over a PVC pipe. Nothing fancy to it. So this little
We just got up against the wall.
This little pouch right here, right above the clavicle, is where you want this thing. Just sitting right in there. That's the best way to reach that first rib. Once you get there, now you're just working some overhead mobility. And as you get to that end range, you'll feel what I'm talking about. The straighter you can keep the arm and the closer you can keep your arm to your head, the better off you are. Go out to the side. Work all kinds of ranges in this, because your shoulder is a very dynamic joint. It's going to have multiple ranges of motions. Work on internal, external rotation. You will feel what hurts you the most.
Cool.
And that's pretty much it for this one.
So guys, so we've got 3 different things that we worked on today. We worked on the pec, okay, on the rolling on the barbell. The next thing we went to was now underside the arm, is working on the lat, okay. And we talked about really making sure you get in the right position on that guy, and even going forward and backward. I know that when we do this in class, a lot of you folks are, aching and moaning and groaning on these things, and it's typically probably because that's tissue that needs to be addressed. And so maybe we should be doing it more often than just every once in a while in a class if we have it built into the warm-up. So, and then the third idea here is that first rib mobilization. And like Dr. Jordan said, when you get in the right spot, you're going to know you're in the right spot. You'll feel that thing almost up into the head, almost up into the backside of the shoulder. It's getting on some tissue that's getting pretty irritated. So 3 things there. Hit us back in the comments if you have any other additional questions. Again, this is overhead position, especially in overhead pressing, snatching, things like that. So we've got some max load snatch today, so I bet a few of you should be doing some of these things when you get in here. Thanks again.